just on the right stick. Oh, oh. Yes, that's right. That was my brand new DJI Mavic 3 taking a tumble into the leaves and the dirt and the grass. So it's been a pretty tough year for me with drones. First I'm dunking them in the water, and now I'm dunking them into the dirt. So let's talk about what happened here. But first I have a couple of things that I do want to say about the Mavic 3. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Russ here. And yes, as you just saw, my Mavic 3 picked a fight with an ash tree, and it obviously lost. So I'll tell you exactly what happened here in just a minute. But first of all, I want to discuss a couple of things about the Mavic 3 to sort of supplement what was in my initial review video. And in case you haven't seen my initial video on the Mavic 3, I'll post it right up here as well as in the video description. Now, first of all, I want to address the most discussed topic by far, and that is the price. I feel like the incredible abilities of this drone have been so overshadowed by the sticker shock that so many people had. And in case you don't know, the Mavic 3 ranges in price from $2,200 all the way up to $5,000, depending on which package that you get. And I know that really disappointed so many people that were waiting for this drone. You know, many Mavic owners are coming from the Mavic 2 Pro or the Mavic Air or even the original Mavic Pro. And so I think a lot of those people were expecting that price to be just maybe a little bit more than what they paid for those other drones. But here's the deal, you guys. With the arrival of the Mavic 3, the Mavic line is no longer your average consumer option. The Air 2S is now DJI's best consumer drone. The Air 2S is more than enough drone for casual flyers and hobbyists. The Mavic 3 is now the next level. The Mavic line has been given sort of a promotion, so to speak. And the Air 2 and the Air 2S and even the Mini 2 have kind of taken its place in that consumer category. So for those of you complaining about the price, it's probably not for you. It's for people that want to get into more the commercial side of flying drones. And that kind of segues into the second thing that I want to talk about, and that is the ability of the Mavic 3 to help those of you who are interested in pursuing some type of commercial drone work. Now, I just did a couple of videos about the Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced and some of the ways that you can earn a lot of money with it. It's an amazing drone with a thermal camera, but it costs $6,500. The Mavic 3, with its high resolution, incredible zoom capabilities, better obstacle avoidance, longer flight time, and more, is actually a better choice for commercial drone work than the Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced, unless you're interested in doing anything related to thermal. You could potentially start earning money instantly conducting aerial inspections with the Mavic 3. So if you want to see a comparison video with the Mavic 3 to the Mavic 2 Enterprise Advanced, comment down below so I can see if there's any interest. And if enough of you are interested, I will make that video. So now, what exactly happened with my Mavic 3? Well, in my initial review, I showed you guys how great I thought the obstacle avoidance was on the Mavic 3. It thoroughly impressed me. It did so well. Yet some of the comments said that I didn't challenge it enough. They thought maybe I didn't put it in a situation where it really had to work hard. So I took it out last weekend into some thickly wooded areas to put all those comments to rest. I hit the screen recorder and I just started flying the Mavic 3 directly at some trees. Okay, let's just start flying at some trees, see what happens. Now all of the leaves are gone on our trees, so I knew it was going to be a challenge for it. And it did really well. So then what I did is I flew it backwards for a while to see how it did going backwards, because people were asking about that. And again, it performed wonderfully. And it actually found its own way down the walking path. Like it stayed in between the rows of trees and went right down the path, even though I was pulling straight back on that right stick. All right, oh, look at that. So it's finding the trail. It's going around these trees and it's actually finding the trail. It's pretty good. I'm just pulling straight back on the right stick. Straight back, I'll show you here. I just got my right hand on there, pulling straight back on that stick right there. All right, pull back. Goes around that tree right there. Okay, now we're coming into a more congested area. So then as I was going forward, it got into some heavily branched areas and the drone kind of went off to my left a little bit for some reason. I don't know why it didn't go to the right where there was much more open space, but it went off to the left. So I just kept pulling back on that right stick just to see where it would go and what would happen. And it finally got stuck because it got into this area where it was completely surrounded by all these little branches. And so it just stayed there. Even though I was pulling back on the stick, the drone just hovered there. So it was right at this point where I should have made a different decision. I should have lowered the drone and then navigated it back out into the path, right back to safety. But I also really wanted to see if it could navigate those little twigs. You know, it went back into that area, so I figured it could come forwards the same way. So I just pushed forward on the right stick and the drone saw some twigs all around it. So I think it's almost like the default is where the drone increases in altitude to get out of those situations. And what it did is it increased in altitude just a little bit, and right above it was a little twig sticking out. Back here and see how it does. Pushing just on the right stick. Oh, and there's our first crash. Just a really little, really small twig there. Let's see, hopefully it's okay. Uh-oh, let's see here. And one of the propellers hit that twig, and then all hell broke loose and it fell down to the ground. And it fell from about 12 feet high. So not a big deal. I really didn't think it was that big of a deal. I've had drones fall from that height many, many times, and there's been really no damage except for some cracked propellers. And so I thought, oh, well, there's my first crash. And I kind of giggled a little bit and I thought, well, we'll just start it back up, put some new propellers on, and keep testing the obstacle avoidance. So I went over and I picked it up and everything looked okay except for some broken propellers. And then on the app, it said gimbal stuck. The warning for gimbal stuck was on. So I set it down, I restarted it just to see if that warning would go away. And the long story short, it came back on, that gimbal stuck warning was still on, and the gimbal won't move. I turned the wheel and the gimbal just won't move. It won't do anything. So after closer examination, I found that one of the gimbal stops is broken. One of the little pieces of metal that holds the gimbal in place is broken off. So here's what I think. Obviously, even the best obstacle avoidance has its limitations, right? Even the Skydio has its limitations. If you fly among some thin branches, like many thin branches, thickly wooded areas, or if you fly around power lines, it's just not going to see it, plain and simple. And yes, anytime a drone falls from the sky, there is going to be damage. But you know the expression, the bigger they are, the harder they fall? Well, this camera, it's so big, and that's what makes this drone so awesome, but it's also what makes it more vulnerable. It's like hanging out there like a vulnerable thing. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, it's just sticking out there. It's so big. And what happened is my drone just fell head first and it suffered some brain damage. So I've just started the DJI Care refresh process and I shipped it off to a repair center yesterday. I brought it to the UPS store. I didn't even bring a box. I just brought my drone. I brought my UPC code. It's so easy, you guys. The good news is I won't have to be without my Mavic 3 for very long because once they receive it, they're going to immediately send me a replacement unit. I don't have to wait for the evaluation and the repair and all of that. And it's called DJI Care Refresh Express now. So it should only be a few days, which is really impressive if you think about it. I'm going to keep you updated on this process. You know, over the years, Care Refresh has kind of gotten a bad rap. I know a lot of people complain about it on the forums. They don't have good experiences with it, but they've revamped it. I think they kind of timed the revamping of the Care Refresh with the Mavic 3. And so far, I'm pretty impressed. Like, no more waiting, you guys. No more waiting for them to get it, figure out what's wrong with it, fix it, and ship it back to you. It's once they get yours, boom, you're going to get another drone. And so I think that's pretty cool. So I'm going to keep you updated on that process. And this is my first time ever using it. So I'm really interested to see how this goes. And if you want to see how it goes as well, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. If you did like this video, hit that thumbs up. I do want to thank you for watching the entire video today. Have a great day. And as always, fly safe and fly smart.